2012, the U.S. mission in Benghazi, Libya, was attacked by Islamic militants who killed U.S. Ambassador Christopher Stevens and several others. In the wake of that tragedy, the U.S. formed a quick response military unit with Marines and Naval personnel that is now permanently based in Spain. Former unit commander Colonel Calvert Worth, Jr., recently spoke with VOA's Shusman about the unit and its responsibilities, which include training the security forces of several African nations, including Mali, Senegal, Guinea, Ghana, and Gabon.
Well, it's a force that in 2013 was stood up to provide a very specific crisis response capability to the geographic combatant commander, that general who commands military forces in Africa. And in the wake of the Benghazi disaster, one of the things that we wanted to have happen was ensure that the ambassador, when he calls for support, had a force that could self-deploy, get there quickly, reinforce the embassy, or provide service as required.
If an ambassador, say, calls and says, I think we need some backup here, some support, how long does it take, for example, to go from Spain to Africa? Give people an idea.
The distances, of course, are long. The African continent is vast. But what we do in order to shorten those response times is we have the ability to move forward from Maroon, Spain to what we call cooperative security locations, which means that we can be within 2.5 hours of a call for reinforcement or a call for support.
So what is the connection to Benghazi, again, if you would tell me exactly with the mission?
Again, there's been lots of questions about Benghazi and whether or not forces were positioned so that they'd be responsive to an ambassador in trouble. And what the post-Benghazi context has done is ensure that we have built and resourced specific forces so that they can provide a very rapidly responding force that has been specifically built to either reinforce the embassy, provide a quick reaction force to reinforce personnel on the ground if the ambassador happens to be separated from the embassy, or assist in a military-assisted departure.
How many military personnel are involved in the unit this size?
We have in excess of 1,000 Marines focused at crisis response mission. And from those Marines, we also provide some theater security cooperation, which means that we also have the capacity to partner with those nations from which that have those relationships necessary to provide access to some of our crisis regions.
You also do a lot of training with forces or security people in these other African countries. Is that correct?
That's correct. And when we do that, the focus is on building capacity for the host nation, making sure that their forces also mutually benefit from the relationship, and make sure that there is again, mutual benefit for not only the host nation, but regionally. Those countries understand that the United States is present, is willing to come to the aid of an ambassador and a nation that calls for crisis in this very specific way.
How welcome are the U.S. forces into Africa?
Our experience has been that the forces with whom we've worked have been very receptive to the training, very receptive to our presence, and they understand the importance of maintaining a relationship with the United States. And therefore, when we aim to protect U.S. personnel and facilities, they have been very, very willing to support our efforts.
Thank you very much, Colonel. We really appreciate it. Our guest today was Colonel Calvert Worth, Jr., who is now stationed in North Carolina. And welcome back to the United States.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Thanks for having me.